All right, guys, welcome to the Parley Real People, Real Talk. I got a guest today that I've been waiting to talk to for a long time, Mr. Marcus Torgerson, the real life Punisher. Thank you so much for being on the show, brother.
Well,
How are
I
you?
mean, thanks. That's a pretty wicked, awesome introduction.
It's
That's
true,
all right.
man.
I'll take it.
It's true.
Well, it is when you go through TSA. I'll tell you that.
So, talk to me, man. How long have you been training martial arts?
Since 1979.
Wow. And what did you start with?
I started with Kung Fu, Hungar Kung Fu.
Oh, shit. I did that for like 2 weeks and then they kicked my ass out.
Really?
Yeah,
Good
man.
job.
Yeah, I was like in an Asian mall, so I was like, I was the guy for them. I was the guy who was just passing through, and sure enough, I was. It wasn't what I was looking for.
Well, you know what? I was pretty lucky. It wasn't a great school. I mean, it was okay, but the guy who did the teaching. Do you remember Rambo, the first Rambo?
Yes.
Okay. There's a flashback scene where he's getting tortured.
Okay.
And the main Vietnamese guy that tortured him was the guy that was teaching me Hungar Kung Fu, Stephen
What?
Chang.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So from the Kung Fu, I'm sure you found something, or there wasn't something that you were kind of clicking with. How did you find yourself? I believe, was it 2005 or 2007 you started doing Krav Maga?
2005, yeah.
And how did you discover that?
Well, as a fellow lifelong martial artist, you go through droughts, right? You go through these, I'm not sure what I'm going to be when I grow up kind of thing. And I was in a really bad, dark place previous to 2005. And I was just training my clients and just kind of doing shit just to survive and just in a bad place. And at some point in time, I think it was in about 2000, a childhood friend of mine said, hey, man, he had recently converted to Judaism. He said, listen, you need to do some of this Krav Maga stuff. It's fucking wicked awesome and you should try it. And at the time, it was just in a bad headspace. It wasn't going to happen. But for whatever reason, it obviously made indentation in my subconscious. So in about 2004, 2005 for sure, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and try to become a student again and learn something. And I knew from all my years of working in the bar, all my years of street fighting, I knew what the fuck did not work. Okay. And most of the stuff that I had taken up until that point didn't work. So took some Krav Maga for about 3 months and it was not really what I was looking for. It was a very watered down version of it. And then through forces beyond my comprehension, I was led to certain paths, which, from March 2005 till all of a sudden to October 2005, whole bunch of shit happened to get me where I was staying in Israel for a month.
And what was that like? How different was that? How were you received? What was the culture like? I mean, that's a whole thing in itself,
Well, for me, I hadn't really traveled up to that point as, I was in my 40s and, or 30s. I can't even, whatever 2005 was. Jesus Christ. So I hadn't really traveled, so I didn't really know much. And, you're putting Canadian flags on everything because you think you're going to get killed, but somehow being Canadian doesn't let you get killed. I never could figure that one out. And it was I don't want to say overwhelming. I would say overstimulating because not only was I in a foreign country, I was doing my instructor course, but it was just me and my instructor. So it was a one-on-one situation, 10 hours a day, blasting through information. Insecurity, doubt was just feeding inside of me.
Let me just stop you right there because I don't think people realize you were a secondary black belt prior to this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, let's fucking be real here. A lot of people, once they get their black belt, nose goes to the sky. They know everything.
Oh, yeah.
And so for you, let's put this in context. For you to say, I want more, I want realism, put the belt aside, travel to another fucking country.
Yeah.
Like, how did you, because really what I want this podcast to be is for everybody out there who wants to do that one fucking thing they never did and too scared to do it. How did you overcome that, man? What did you do?
I'll be really honest. I just jumped. I just did it. I had a very supportive woman that I was dating at the time. I would never been able to do it without her. She was just like, all right, well, I guess we're putting this on a credit card. You know, like she just really was like, and to be honest with you, because she'd seen me going through such dark times, she was just like, look, man, and I can't speak for her, but if we put her on the show, if I could find her, she'd probably be like, look, I was just happy he was fucking smiling more than he was angry.
Wow.
So I just, when the opportunity came, when my instructor, when I met him in August of that year, and he was like, look, okay, here's the deal. You're going to come to Israel and stay with me for a month. I kind of said yes, because I really didn't know what else to say. Now, I'm a traditional martial artist. When the guy, the main man, says, hey, go smash your head through the wall, you're like, sir, yes, sir, I'm going to go do it. And I'm thankful now in my, I'm older. I don't have that kind of blind faith and loyalty anymore. You have to kind of earn your shit with me. But every decision that's gotten to me where I am right now has just been like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm doing it. Because now I can say the worst that's going to happen, Mark, is I'm going to fail, which means first attempt in learning. And I can sit there and say that with a smile on my face. But transparency wise, everything I've done that's gotten to me where I am now has been just, fuck it. I'm going to do it. Jump off the cliff and make it happen. I'm going to sink or I'm going to fly.
That's important, because you know what? Now you don't build this bullshit or this preconceived notion of what this outcome is going to be, and then let that suppress any kind of desire to act and respond. Now it's kind of just like fight or flight, deal with it as it may go. And you know what? I think people, once they start doing that kind of shit, I know for me, especially when it came to teaching, I was reluctant to teach, but I was encouraged by people around me. And once I started doing it, I was like, yeah, I could fucking do this. You know what I mean? And the benefits of it is just, well, you know more than most, right?
Well, and the truth is you don't see you the way that we see you.
That's a very good point.
Right? And now I'm guilty of it as myself. Like, you and I are very similar in many ways.
Yes.
What you and I see in the mirror pales in comparison to what our peers, what our loved ones, what our mentors see in us. And I'm thankful for those people, because if it wasn't for them, Mark wouldn't be doing this podcast. Mark wouldn't be doing his fucking teaching, and the world would not be blessed to have learned from you in the way that they have.
100%. And I also think that's why people like us, just good, decent people, when they see that there's a way or a thing that they can use, but not because if I see something benefits me, why the fuck would I want to give that to somebody else?
Yep. Serve your fellow human being.
Exactly.
Right? And not to get overly deep on this, but the truth is as a 50-year-old man, I have learned what not to do, what I know for sure won't work, what I have an idea might work, and then what I know for sure will fucking work. And there's one thing I can say for sure is, if you're willing to give and help others, yeah, you're going to have some douchebags that are going to fuck you over. But the benefits to serving your fellow human being are going to outweigh whatever douchebag comes and fucks with you.
100%. So you find this guy, you go to Israel, you start learning Krav Maga.
Yeah.
All right. What was it like now to start to teach this art that you found and fell in love with? What was the moment that you were like, yeah, man, this is what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing? And how did it feel like?
I don't even know if I'm there yet.
Oh.
And I say that, and I'm going to give you a perfect example. So I'll go, let's hypothetically say I fly out to Toronto tomorrow, and you say, Marcus, we got a seminar. We're going to do the seminar. And I do the seminar. And you're going to come up to me and you're like, so what'd you think? And we'll be like, I don't know. We just don't know. And that's my answer. Every course I've taught, every seminar, workshop, any units I've worked with, I don't see it. All I can do is, and this is where I've had to grow into this belief system of, Marcus, you know what? Whatever it is you're bringing, common sense would say, if you sucked at it, people wouldn't want you to keep coming back.
100%.
So even with the negative insurgency that surrounds my head on a regular basis, common facts are facts. Marcus, if people didn't like what you have to say, they wouldn't have you on the show. They wouldn't put you in books. They wouldn't sit there and have you come to their countries. So I can't say a pinpoint of time of where I was like, yeah, man, this is what I meant to do. But I will say that over the last, 7, 8 years, I've just vomited all the information I can give at that specific time of my understanding of the subject matter, which changes over time.
Yep.
And just given the best that I can, and hope and pray that what I show gets people out of confrontation and doesn't get them hurt worse than they would have before they had met me.
And now there's three P's I want to get on, but the first one is you're kind of touching on it now, and that's the passion. What is it about? Because there's a special type of quality, I would say, martial artists have. Mm-hmm. Everybody has this quality, but it comes out in different mediums. It comes out in different avenues, different ways that it comes out. But with regards to martial arts, what is it that makes you passionate about empowering somebody? Because that's a big responsibility. I don't think people realize sometimes how responsible you are as an instructor for the information you give your student.
Yeah. I think a part of it, and I hadn't really thought about it before you asked the question, is me being the guy or the person that I needed back when I was learning. Now, I've had very good instructors, my karate instructors, my whole karate community at that time. I wouldn't trade that for literally $1 million. Now, if they were listening, they'd be like, "You're an idiot. You fucking take that $1 million and trade that experience." I've had very good instructors. I've had negative instructors. And when I look at people who are coming to me for some type of an answer, one, I try to let them figure it out on their own and just be the guide. And as the guide, let them try to find their why, right? You can't sit there and say, well, it's because I was raped. It's because I was beaten as a child. That's not your why. That's a avenue of motivation. But what's your why to wanting to learn? And that's the fun part is as an educator, I get to sit there and surf that experience of why together, because once somebody gets that light, man, right, that they're like, aha, I get it, or this is why I want to do it, or in many cases, just breakthroughs, man. You're having men and women just fucking bawling because it's an overwhelming feeling of, oh my God, this is what I've been trying to fix or alter or find a reason to do. So my passion really has more to do with their growth, not even growth, their, oh shit, I get it moments. The movement, the tactics, I could give a shit about that, man. I don't care. Yeah, I'm teaching how to deal with a knife attack. That's great, but that's just the medium, man. That's not the sexy stuff. That's not the meat and potatoes. I want you to sit there and walk around with your head high and be like, I see trouble there. I see violence there. I'm walking the fuck over here. I'm definitely not going over there. Like, they're safe because they have peace in their heart, because they know they can be violent in a heartbeat.
And I think that's one of the things that I like about you as well. I've seen you teach. I've experienced you teach at Combat Arts when you came to visit. That's when I first met you or heard about you. You left a great impression on me. You had a great energy about you. And I remember this. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember this because I don't forget when people say shit like this to me. But you asked me what my experiences were before we started the class, and I gave you my list. You're like, okay, well, we're going to find out if we're going to be friends or enemies.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
And
I was like, oh, this guy's like this, eh? But then, when you started teaching, and I can, when somebody has passion, you can see what I'm passionate about something. I can see if somebody else is passionate about something.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that shit is fucking contagious.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about you and me anymore. It was an experience, right? And everybody was sweating their balls off, but they were smiling and they were having fun and they were being tested. And I think that's so fucking important and liberating for people. They need an avenue in which they can just release themselves.
And it doesn't happen very often, sadly, because it takes a lot of balls or testosterone or estrogen. It takes a lot of fortitude to say, hey, I'm going to give this a shot, knowing full well I'm going to look like an idiot. I'm going to give it a shot anyways. And that's why I applaud anybody who, like, okay, you started a podcast during this whole bullshit COVID thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes balls to do that, man. Everybody that in this time of lockdowns or whatever that found some way to do something and didn't just sit on the couch and become a fat fuck. I applaud that because it takes balls, man. It takes guts.
Honestly, brother, my motivation is, and for anybody listening, I just was tired of not talking to my friends.
Yeah.
You know, and this is cheaper than therapy. So all I'm doing is I'm reaching out to the people that have inspired me or motivated me, who I think are good fucking people. Right. And I think by me talking to them helps me. It helps me. I mean, it's just like martial arts. If you don't fucking practice something, it'll slowly decline. And if I don't talk to people and communicate, it'll slowly decline. And I'll be damned if I lose my humanity. So if I can let somebody else listen to it, my truth, and this, I'm not here to say what people want to hear or what they think is politically correct. I could give a fuck. I make it a point not to be politically correct. And you know what? I think there's too much fake shit right now in mainstream media. Yeah. I think people have this they're just perceptions of what people should be or what things should be is just fucking off. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. Nobody sees the hardship that takes to get to a fucking level of success. Yeah. You know, the lights and the stars are there for you to fucking covet and feel shit about yourself because you can't attain it. But nobody shows you, you know, for the real ones who work for it, nobody shows you that. How are you supposed to attain something if your culture does not let you fucking learn what adversity is?
Well, and that's where they say, you know, soft times make soft people and hard times make hard people, right? You know, and everything's circular or cyclical. So I knew there was a word in the English language. And, you know, we're getting to a point where everybody's soft, and then we're going to bottom out and completely rock bottom. And then it'll be that generation that will have to toughen up. And then they'll get tough, and then their next generation will get soft. Like that's just human beings, man. You know.
I think it's just that we have poor habits and we forget very fucking easily. You know, because
we haven't had any reason to sit there and be in a difficult scenario like this. Even the COVID situation. Yes, it is a very difficult time. But it's not the depression. You can still get food and toilet paper when there's some douchebag not buying 4 rolls. Yeah. Okay? You can still get food. You can still have Uber Eats. Man, you can sit on your ass and do nothing and food will still come to you and somehow money will come to you. Like you haven't had real hard times. Try taking away 90% of the population's money.
Yeah. Well, soon. You know.
Well, okay, but I didn't know where you wanted to go with this. But
hey, man, wherever you want. This is
no. I mean, the truth is just you know. I look at your kids, right? You have 2, correct?
2 girls.
2 girls. Now I think about what they're going through right now, and how they have had to adapt to what this lifestyle is. And now, once things change in whatever direction they're going to change to, their whole world has morphed into something beyond their control, and they have to adapt, which they will, because that's the type of kids they are. The parenting that's going on is adaptability. And it's easy for the grumpy old bastard over here to be like, listen, you got to fucking suck it up and you get things going, because I have a detachment from the current reality of what kids go through at this point in time. Just like the old bastards of my era who grew up in the Depression, and they're looking at us like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? You guys have it all. And we're like, what are you talking about? I only have 1 toy. And they're like...
But the thing that bothers me about that is you're right? If you look at everything in the grand scheme of things, this is one of the best times to be alive with regards to medicine and everything like that. But here's the thing. A lot of fucking people die for it.
Yeah.
And the people, like imagine my father now. He's like 85 years old. Okay? Yep. This guy left Portugal, left a dictatorship, snuck from Portugal out, lived in France for a year, came from France, he didn't speak a lick of fucking English, worked like a dog, bought a house, shipped 9 kids. 1 had to stay behind because of the military. All right. And he did it for his kids, you know. And yes, my brothers and sisters had it harder than me, and they had to endure, and that's what made them tough people. That's why I respect them. I respect all of them for different reasons. But now my dad's sitting here with a few, who knows how long he's got left, and he's just like, fuck, man, what I left is fucking happening all over again. And that's the shit that's sad, because my kids will never know what it's like to go and fucking get on their bike and ride down 2 blocks from now, call on Susie to go to play at the park until the lights come on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so even though we're having it good, I think it's our duty to fucking fight what we have, because we're soon losing it.
Well, and you know, you're preaching to the choir here. I mean, really, I mean, and the people that are listening now, remember, as a Canadian living in America, I spent most of my time alive in Canada. So I can say with a clear conscience that I'm not really, I can't argue one point with you. What I would say is, because you still have your father around, what a great opportunity for your daughters to sit there and learn from him, which is something that our culture as a Canadian, and I say not from an immigrant standpoint, but I'm just talking about Canada, America, as a nation, we don't take care of our elderly. We don't learn and listen to our elders.
No.
We don't nurture them. We chuck them away, get rid of them. See you later, bye. And that's robbing so many of our young from lessons that you or I could never teach them, ever. And so going back to the point about, you know, where we're at in tough times, when things get really rough, some will move forward and some will not move forward. And as much as the participation prize for everybody is great and everybody loves it, at the end of the day, certain people will succeed and move forward and some people won't. And it won't have anything to do with race, color, creed, genders, political affirmations. It will have to do with desire to survive. And that comes from within, and you cannot metric it. You can't genetically enhance it. It's either in you or it's not.
100%. And I think that is all, like I said, I remember being a kid and, you know, talking to vets, World War II vets.
Yep.
And just hearing their stories, and they didn't give a fuck how old I was. They told me straight up, and I was just like, holy fuck. Even though I didn't experience it or see it, those stories forever stay ingrained in my head, and gives, you know, that's why these, like you said, our culture or society does not give the older people the respect.
No.
And, you know, the attention that they deserve. It's a fucking shame, because I think that's what got us to this point. Which brings me to a while back, because you've been doing it for a while now, but I was going through a fucking slump. And, you know, a lot of the shit that I was thinking, you know, I would tell my wife, and even my wife would be like, you know, make sure you don't say that shit in front of people, right? They're going to think you're fucked up. And I scroll on Facebook, and here I see you fucking talking some real shit. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. This is fantastic. What motivated you to start fucking saying, you know what, I'm going to use my Facebook to fucking spread some positive shit and some real shit and some truths that people might not like to hear, but need to hear? What sparked that?
Well, I wouldn't say a lot of messages, but I get a certain amount of messages of people who are like, hey man, I'm about one drink away from jumping off a bridge, or, you know, like real problems, you know? And the hard part about, you know, the British call it the black dog. That's what they call depression. The problem with depression in any way, shape, or form, however it manifests itself, the facts are that there's no difference between Mark, me, Betty Sue down the street, Bobby Joe up the block. When you're having times where you're finding you're having to put a happier face on all the time because, you know, you don't want to tell people, and, you know, most when you're telling people how you're actually feeling, one, they don't want to listen. And that's not a slight. That's just, you know, I'm going through my own problems. I don't need to hear fucking Betty Sue over here and their bullshit. Yeah, just smile and fucking suck it up. And you can't really talk to people from an older generation, because if you talk to your dad, or you know, if you were able to talk to your grandfather or grandparents and tell them this, they'd be like, listen, you fucking pussy, suck it up. So, and I don't necessarily agree with that, in the sense of there's some people who can't suck it up. And there's a lot of people who, it's not that they want to die. they just don't want to live the pain that they're living right now.
100%. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you look at it from that perspective, where you're like, okay, I know you don't really want to die. You just don't want to be in the pain you're in now. Like, I don't have any fucking answers. I've gone to my share of shrinks and they were useless as tits on a bull. Man, I've been around other people and talked to them, and man, you can't talk to somebody who's just like waiting for their opportunity to talk, not listen. So all I do is I figured I'm just going to fucking say how I'm feeling. And then as soon as I said it, and then I got more messages being like, fuck, man, I really wanted to say that. And I get it, man, social media. And I've been told by people who love me, hey, Marcus, maybe you should lighten up a little bit on these conversations. And I kind of sit back. I was like, well, that's part of the fucking problem, isn't it?
Yes.
Right? The fact is nobody wants to hear the negative. Nobody wants to hear it. Well, they may not want to hear it, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't apply to them. And don't look at the fucking Dwayne The Rock Johnson and being like, yeah, that guy's fucking got it together. I don't want to see that motherfucker. I don't want to see anybody who's so detached from reality. I'm looking at people who right now, and we know, like combat, right?
Yeah.
We got people who are hardworking motherfuckers who are losing their businesses. Complete ecosystems, or not ecosystems, economic systems are getting upheaved, and people are losing businesses after 40 years of being in business. And you're supposed to tell me I'm supposed to be like, hey, I'm not going to talk about bad things. People need to have at least if they can't say it, they need to know they're not alone. Because many times people off themselves because they really do feel like they're alone. So the long-winded answer to answer your question, when did I come up with it? I can't really say when. I just knew that if I've thought these feelings, or if I've gone through suicidal shit, or if I've fucking sat there and drank myself to oblivion, I'm going to say it. And sure enough, man, I don't know how many people, Mark. A lot of people have messaged me and said, hey, man, I feel the same way. And I say the same thing to them. Go and share it. Tell people.
That's the problem. There's so many fucking people that feel this way, yet we're not allowed to say it. Or you're frowned upon if you say it.
Well,
it has to be said. It has to be said.
I agree, obviously. But like from your wife's perspective, I can totally see her point.
Yeah.
Mark, you're a martial arts instructor. You have an image to uphold. You give off to your students a sense of security and strength. And we don't want them to see you in a weak state. I get it. I totally get it. I understand I can't argue with her. So there's got to be a happy medium of finding, hey, listen, I have bad days. I fucking sometimes don't want to wake up in the morning. But I get up, I take a few steps, I go, I have some coffee, and I trudge through my day. How's your day going? And start a dialogue. And that's where I think like these type of moments are important, that whoever's listening to this right now, if you can just remember that you have two guys who are allegedly tough guys who are showing that they have strength. The strength that comes between the two of us is the fact that we're being honest about the fact that our bad days are sometimes overwhelmingly bad.
100%.
And if we can make it through it, you can make it through it. Just fucking open up and be honest about it. Don't hide it. Don't push it down.
Yeah, that's key. I mean, there's nothing better than, I'll tell you, the days that I was feeling like shit, I would just get these random, like one of my friends, Rene Cocolo, he would just message me, be like, hey, buddy, how you doing? That's it.
Yep.
Something as simple as that. And I was just like, fuck, somebody thought about me.
Yep.
That shit can change a lot. And a lot of people, I think it's the thing is, where they feel like they're alone, number one.
Yep.
And I think the more deadly one is when they don't see any hope.
Yep.
They don't see a possibility for change.
Yep.
That's my perceptions. But what do you think the biggest emotional struggles people are dealing with right now in today's landscape?
I mean, where do you start? Do you start financial? Do you start emotional? Do you start physical by the fact that all the gyms are shut down, so nobody can do anything to get some adrenaline dumps and get some endomorphins? What are they called?
Endorphins.
Endorphins. I knew there was a word in there. we can't get any of that stuff going. Everything's shut down. So I mean, it's not going to be one thing. It's got it in this case. We're literally getting if we take it from a fighting perspective, I'm fighting one dude and I'm getting sucker punched to my right. I go deal with that guy, I get sucker punched over here. Literally, I'm getting gang beaten up in this current environment. And my suggestion is very much like I'll give you a perfect example. So I can't say who they are, but I'm lucky that I got like what society would view as badass human beings, like men that are, I mean, they've kicked indoors and they've taken care of business. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'll send them random fucking videos. Like I must have sent maybe 15 of them yesterday. Random ones like, hey, fucktard, how are you? I just thought I'd say hi. Or, hey, or whatever. It's applicable to them. And I've gotten messages back being like, dude, you are the only one that's messaged me with no, hey, I need this or hey, I need that, but just a unconditional, hey, how are you? You're the first one to do that in a month.
I had a friend who I thought was somebody who was, I considered a friend, and not that I don't. It's not that I dislike them. I dislike our relationship because I started to feel like it was more about what I could offer them and what they could benefit than genuinely. If we took those things away, could I genuinely trust the fact that he would be there for me? And the answer that I came to was no. So I had to tell this guy to fuck off. But I wish him all the best. But that's an important thing because you got to watch the snake in the grass because your worst enemies come to you with a fucking grin and a handshake.
Fuck yeah, they do. I was having a shower today, and it came to my head. Now, many of the times the things that I post are shit that just pops into my head. And I'll just post it. Like, no word of a lie. It'll come into my head and I'll just post it.
That's why it's raw. That's why it's raw. That's why I like it.
And I was thinking about the fact that, be careful of the people who use you or want you as an afterthought. Like, let's see. I need 3 people to help me move. I'm not going to go to Marcus. I'm going to go to Mark. And then if it's not Mark, I'm going to go to Eddie. I'm just pulling names out of my ass. And Eddie didn't work. I'm going to go to Joey. And okay, none of them said yes. All right. Hey, Marcus, will you help me? And of course, because of the way that I am, yeah, I'll fucking help you. And I am selfish now in my lifetime that if I'm not first or second, I'm not greedy, 1 or 2, in your first 2 persons to think of when you need something or want something or want to help somebody, then fuck off.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And my circle is vast in the sense of it's an international, I'm lucky. I got a lot of people around the world who really think very good things of me. And to sit there and say, I'm not going to think about them is not fair. But in the inner circle, when these people, everybody knows who their inner circle is. If I'm not fucking first to think about or second, then yeah, you can fuck off.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of being an afterthought. And that goes for relationships, that goes for friendships, it goes for everything. Business, I might be a little more understanding because, I'm not for everyone when it comes to business. You know what I mean? Like the way that I am is not maybe something that, a person would want me to come and, I don't know, have a chit chat in a Catholic school,
Yeah.
Even though, ironically, even though you hear me talk, you think, well, that guy's got some kind of Tourette's, and I'm not going to have him talk to my clergy. Yet I can talk in front of a clergy, and I won't utter one swear word at all.
Yeah, because you're a professional. No, I totally get it. My inner circle's so small, you could call it a fucking dot. But, speaking of your organization, talk to me about the International Krav Maga Federation that you're a part of. When it was founded, how you joined it. Speak to me on this organization you're part of.
Well, it was started in, I think it was 95, 96. And the bottom line is it was started because Emi, the creator of Krav Maga, he had an Israeli organization that, he built up. And in the 90s, he saw that there was more and more people coming to Israel. to learn Krav Maga, and he was like, you know what? It's not just for Israelis; it's for the entire world. The whole world should walk in peace. So he changed the Israeli Krav Maga Association to the International Krav Maga Federation, and that was the start of it. Now, how did I end up with them? I'm gonna go with divine intervention.
I like
and
that.
I say that because in 2005, when you Googled, I mean, in 2005, I mean, I was useless on the internet. Thank God for the woman I was dating. And we just happened to have the International Krav Maga Federation pop up, and the fact that they were with Israel. Now, as two traditional martial artists, no matter how eclectic we get in our development, there is a grassroots traditional belief between us. Yes?
100%.
Okay. So I was learning Krav Maga from these people in early 2005, and they had nothing to do with Krav Maga or with Israel. I was like, fuck that, man. I'm a traditionalist. I end up hooking up with the guys from the IKMF and been with them ever since. Now that's 16 years. I've seen fucking, like all martial arts, egos and squawking and bullshit. Now, I will be honest, 10 years ago or so, I was very passionate with my political beliefs when it came to Krav Maga. Nowadays, I have the same beliefs I have with most things. You know what? Agree to disagree, and if we can't, fuck off. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not going to argue with somebody over what system is better or what Krav Maga organization is better or whatever. I have no fucking time for that. I'd rather sit and talk to my boy Mark about why he should continue to draw comic characters because he's really good at it. Like, that's more interesting to me than fucking arguing about whether a 360 is a more effective tool against something versus a fucking whatever. So I've been with them 16 years, and I will probably always be with them, even when I retire. Now, does that mean that I can't talk or be with other people in other organizations? Fuck that. I got a good friend, Jean Paul.
Yeah.
Okay? Jean Paul is a friend for life, whether he wants to be or not. He's stuck with me. Okay? I fucking love that man.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Right? He came when I was living in Texas. He came to teach, and he's different organization. We went for lunch, and we didn't talk about Krav Maga at all, because you know what? Friendships are about everything, not just about one thing. And if all we can talk about is one subject, we're not friends. We're
you should fucking tell that to liberals and conservatives.
Listen, buddy, I'm in America. I'm in America. Okay, don't.
You're not. Oh man, I'm telling you. But no, but like realistically, like how the fuck can you not? When the fuck did it become a whole like? You don't agree that color purple is the best color? Fuck you. I can't talk to you. I need a safe room. When the fuck did this shit happen?
To be honest with you, in the last bit of time, it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing. The thin-skinned behavior, again, soft times make soft people.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a true fucking statement.
So what about Krav Maga can give people this? I mean, because there's a lot of, I like the reason why I came and checked out your seminar when you were at Combat is because, I read up, I like to read on every martial art. I'm fascinated with warriors throughout history. Mm-hmm. Warriors throughout history are absolutely fascinating. How the landscape around them dictated how they fought or what they used for weapons. It's just fucking amazing, and I've always liked that part of history. But I read up on Krav Maga and I was like, man, they got a lot of fucking shit that like I could see being used in JKD, right? Like with the vitals, this, that, and the other. So but it's not, it's like, obviously it's not just about the fucking, the meat and potatoes of the striking or the technique. Mm-hmm. It's really about the mindset and the objective. And so what about this? Do you find in Krav Maga that people can really extract for their everyday fucking lives, not just self-defense, their everyday resiliency?
Well, and that's a good question, Mark, because Krav Maga is like the idiot's guide to self-defense. You remember those books, Idiot's Guide to?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, Krav Maga is the idiot's guide to self-defense. And here's where I liken it to why I enjoy it so much. I can take 20 people in a room of age, sex, green, blue, yellow, fat, skinny, handicapped, whatever. Everybody in the room I can teach Krav Maga to. everybody, because the principles and movements that it's based on are so simple to do that everybody can do it. And that's why I'm so enamored with it, because not everybody can do Muay Thai, not everybody can wrestle, not everybody can do JKD or jiu-jitsu or any martial system. Not everybody can do it. With Krav Maga, fuck yeah. Now, that's not to say that there's not instructors who because of their abilities, can sit there and simplify the most complex movements so that everybody can do it. But the system of Krav Maga, as its base, as its nature, its pulse, is supposed to be so fucking simple that you should be able to retain it and use it within the same day. That's a very, very, very cool thing to me.
What I'm coming to realize as I get older is, and correct me if I'm wrong or if you see this as well, it's not just about the art itself or how simple it is, whether it's gross motor movements. It really comes down to communication. How well can your instructor communicate to you? And because there are instructors that they teach, they're one-dimensional.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with them because there's somebody out there for them.
Yep.
However, I don't think necessarily, just like, Bruce Lee's revelation of don't focus on the martial art, focus on the martial artist.
Yep.
I also believe the same to be true for instructors.
Yeah.
So,
my God,
JKD have some bad instructors. JKD has some fantastic instructors. And, I'm just striving to be a mediocre instructor. But
right.
I just want people to learn what they're there for. And I have to be able to say, okay, this guy's a physical, this guy is an auditorial learner, this guy is a visual learner, and how to communicate. And I think that's the first art in martial arts is communication.
Which is the reason why so many instructors suck.
Yeah.
Now, do they suck because of them, or do they instruct because of their instructor? Because no matter what, we are images of our instructors.
To a degree, yes.
I was very blessed. Avi, my instructor, had this incredible ability to adapt on the fly on teaching a technique so that my retarded ass would understand it. Or I've watched him over the years, how he would say the same things 10 different ways so that 10 people would understand it. And over the last, I'd say 5 or 6 years, I can say confidently that if I have instructed you in any way and you got something from it, it's because of my ability to understand that everybody is either audible, tactile, visual, whatever. Where I fault martial arts or teachers in general, including our teachers in school, is we've become so mission focused on what we need to do that we forgot that it's not the martial arts we're teaching. There's something more to it.
100%.
Whenever anybody has taken an instructor course from me in easily the last 6, 7, 8 years, anywhere in the world, the first thing I say is, I just want you to make sure you're understanding what you're going to learn has nothing to do with Krav Maga. Because when you're teaching someone some kind of a movement, the reason they're learning that that system has nothing to do with the martial arts. There is so much shit behind it. You're there to bring that out so they find their reason and heal from within. Now, there are some people who are like, I'm really bored, so I thought I'd take some kickboxing. Fucking rights. That's awesome. I'm happy your life is fantastic. Move on. You're not the person I need to talk to right now. Who I need to talk to is the broken shell of a person that's who had the courage to come to a martial arts situation and say, I want to learn this. Well, fucking, first of all, you get a fucking prize for showing up because it took guts to do it. Now, how do I sit there and bring out the best out of you and throw you some cool movements so that you feel happy, empowered, smiling, and walk with a little more actual internal confidence, not false confidence, and actual internal confidence where you look in the mirror like, yeah, I'm not really that bad of a fucking person. Right on. There's the gem. There's
that's the reward
all instructors should be striving for, in my opinion.
100%.
And I'm preaching to the choir because I know how you teach. I've watched how you teach. I'm preaching to the choir.
But it's important to hear it because, I think more people, I think the good ones are like that. It's, and then there comes a point where, sometimes those broken ones, those broken people that you mentioned, they get enough confidence within the physical education aspect of it, but they haven't really healed the inner demons. And now that's the danger, because they become the instructors who are broken.
Well, and that's where, but again, that's our responsibility when we're passing information on. I make it very clear. I got people that I taught 12 years ago, and I talk to them now. I'm like, listen, I want you to know that whatever I taught you back then, I've probably altered it about 900 times. And what matters most is, are you being the best instructor to your student, or are you being the best instructor for you? Because I don't give a shit how good you are at. Let's take some Eskrima, okay? I went to Dan Inosanto's seminar once. And what it wasn't actually a seminar. It ended up being a fucking, I'm gonna educate everybody in this room on how they're fucking up the system. Now, at that point in time of seeing him, I'd already traveled around the world. All right, I make money off. I do the same job that he's doing. Now I'm watching an 80-year-old man, do shit, and I don't know a fucking figure eights and tip tap top, and I don't know any of that shit. And at about halfway through the seminar, I finally just gave up the fact that I realized that I'm not here to learn a technique. I'm here to watch what real instructing is like.
Yeah, man.
And what I found was, one, I'm happy, ego-wise, I'm happy that I was on the right path, because there were similarities in what I did and how I said things. But to watch him chastise his people, basically spank his children and hug them at the same time, was amazing. And that's where, as an instructor, you can't know everything. So if you were broken, fractured, let's go back to that, where you have a fractured student, right? And they become an instructor, and they healed the outside, but they didn't really do very much on the inside. My job is to continually be a little voice in his ear or her ear. Am I doing what's best for my student, or am I doing what's best for me? And how do I make that student the best version of them? Because every time I've watched a student grow from some horrific situation, like dealing with women who have been in domestic violence for their fucking most of their life, and then we're sharing tears and movements, their healing helps me heal my trauma inside and lets me acknowledge, man, I haven't fucking worked on this enough. I need to have my eyes open to that. And if, as an instructor, we are not keeping our eyes open to what's going on with our students, and that's a reflection on us, then we're failing them, and we're failing ourselves, more importantly.
Yeah, it's really about, and that's what the whole, it's like a family is. I think that term is used.
Oh, fucking way too much.
Yeah, way too much. It's like a fucking, it's like a sales pitch nowadays.
It is. And I'm going to ask you, how you come from a pretty big family, right? Portuguese, you got a pretty big family.
I'm the youngest of 10.
Okay. Now, I'm sure they're not going to listen to all of this, so hopefully they didn't listen to this part. But out of the 10, even though you care for them, how many of them do you like?
You're gonna cause a fucking fight.
No. Okay, so
I'll be honest with you. I'll be really, like I said. Okay, so I'm not gonna be a hypocrite. Real people, real talk. I'll be honest with you, Marcus. I have friends who are closer to me than my own family.
Right. Okay. Now, this is the reason I ask this is, as a family, people are getting the impression that everything's supposed to be hugs and kisses, man. No, a family, a healthy family, should have anger, frustration, love, hugs, headbutts, breaking shit, screaming, yelling, hugging. That's what a family is. So when you come into a martial arts situation and think that it's all fucking rainbows and fucking unicorns, it's a lie.
It is a lie.
It is a lie, because there's people that come into, like, I bet you if I went into combat arts for 6 months in a row and went to every class, I'd have a certain percentage that I enjoyed and a larger percentage that I didn't enjoy, and then some that I was just going to knock the fuck out whenever I was given an opportunity.
Yep.
That's a family.
A family to me is, if your family cannot be real or honest with you, who the fuck else is going to be?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That describes 90% of the fucking problems we have in the world. Because honesty and transparency is too scary for the masses.
Yeah. But there's a
But that
liberation.
means you're weak, right?
But there's a It's not about being, and that's the thing. It's not even about being weak. It's about being a fucking human being.
I'm sorry, perceived weakness.
Yes.
I said that, perceived weakness.
Yeah, but that's the
Right?
thing. That's why it's important for people who have a leadership role, like yourself, like other big people, like Guru Dan, being so, like you say, I love that, man. You know, like I used to dream about fucking doing martial arts. My parents couldn't afford it. I used to fucking ride my bike to the local dojo and watch outside the window. And when the sensei would come, like, call me, he probably was gonna ask me if I wanted to watch, but I thought he was gonna fucking give me the Denmark for what.
Yeah.
So I used to fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I used to dream about, like, you know, learning this shit and watch Bruce Lee movies. And, you know, I'm 39 years old at the time. I was 39 years old. So I'm 40 now. I'm like a year or two ago. Whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. But I'm sitting at a table with my Sifu beside me, who is Kevin Seaman, Francis Frong in front of me, Guru Dan to his left, and my student to my right. And I'm just listening to them talk like people. And I was just like, holy fuck, man. Like, I get goosebumps thinking about it, because they're just everyday people, but they're held at such a high pedestal. And for so long, I thought they were so unattainable. And here I am learning from them. And now I'm having a meal with them. And just to find out that they're just genuine fucking good people. That's so important for people in a leadership role to show.
Yeah.
Because it's like fucking image. It's all about an image. And an image is...
and there's that, unfortunately, and in the martial arts, it's way worse. In the sensei, sifu, master, up here, student, there's a dichotomy of situations. And you know what? And I call bullshit to all of that. And this is probably the biggest reason why I fell in love with the Krav Maga the way I did. Because when I first started, my first class, I'm in Israel, and I'm like, so what do I call you? And he's like, he looked at me like I was retarded. He's like, Avi. I'm like, so I'm call you like teacher or whatever. He goes, my name's Avi. And that has gone with me 16 years. I've got people, because culturally in the Spanish language, you know, they use the word master all the time. And
master.
Thanks, Jack. Fat master, dog. You know, and they need the title. And I am so anti-titles that I'll go on the opposite side, because I am such a big believer. This morning you took a shit. I took a shit. You cried. I cried. If I cut you, you're going to bleed. I'm going to bleed. Nothing special. There's nothing special about Mark. There's nothing special about Marcus. Guru Dan, there ain't nothing special about him. He just happens to have a skill set and information to pass on, as well as a shit ton of life experience. That's what we're supposed to learn. That's it. Nobody is special. And the minute that somebody starts to put their hands on their hips and go, I am Grandmaster Flash, and I don't know, I'm old, so for me that was the rap guy right away. But I'm so-and-so, and feel me, and I have a red sash, purple belt, black this. Hey, man, you're going to lose me. Because at the end of the day, when a beer bottle comes from behind your head and cracks your fucking skull open, and you're sitting in a pool of your own feces and urine because you knocked the fuck out, you ain't special.
Yeah.
So humility and being humble, yeah, you got a skill set. Great. But you still bleed shit and cry like everybody else.
That's why I say to people, I was like, you wipe your ass with paper?
Yeah.
Unless you're doing the demolition man and got 3 seashells at home.
Well, and
fucking special.
that's why we're okay, because we'll be swearing so much the paper will come out.
Yeah. Oh, fuck that. I bet. Watch. In 10 years from now, I'm going to mail you my first one if that shit happens. But listen, I fucking knew. I knew right away I needed to enroll myself in some education, because I remember this like it was yesterday. I was with my friend Alistair. We went to a club called The Rock in Brampton. It used to be Hot Rocks on Kennedy Road off Dean Street. And I was with a girl that was an ex-girlfriend, but we were still cool and we were shooting the shit. And this guy on the dance floor was grabbing up this girl to dance, grabbing her up by her arm.
Yeah.
And this girl, she was like a chihuahua. like, she's like fucking, and she just, and this guy's a fucking big man, And right away, I recognized that this guy looked like he was gonna fucking like headbutt this girl.
Okay, yeah.
So I was like, "Fuck!" And back then, Brampton wasn't what it is now, right? I was thinking these guys are from Toronto or some shit, right? So I get in the way, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool." And I look at him like, "Shut the fuck up." You know, I understand your need or want, but if you really want to help this girl, go get security's attention.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. This was a lesson that no martial arts instructor taught me, life taught me. This guy was in the club and he went like this. You know when people talk to you in the club?
Oh, yeah.
So he grabbed me and is this guy fucking biting my neck?
Yep.
I was in shock.
Yeah.
And then I hit him with a bottle and then it was a fucking thing, but I had to go get tests. I had to, when I walked away, when I went home the next day, I was like, how the fuck did I not have the fucking brains? And that's not my first time I got into some shit, but that's when I realized, you know what? I think I know how to fight. I know nothing.
Yep.
You know, and that was a humbling experience, you know, and I was lucky because that could have been a fucking blade in my stomach.
Oh, yeah. Or he could have fucking sat there and really bit you and chucked out a piece of your artery. And
I could have bled to fucking death.
Yeah, you would have been done.
Yeah. So what, getting into this now, what are the biggest misconceptions about self-defense or the way that it's spoon-fed? And I'm not talking about the good stuff because there is good stuff out there, but I'm thinking.
Oh, no, there without a doubt. But what isn't sexy and what doesn't sell because you're in a business of martial arts is de-escalation. Okay, it's my de-escalation skills. I don't even know. I can't believe I have to teach this because I'm working in bars for 20 years. Let me tell you, you get tired of knocking people the fuck out and scrapping and having to ice your hands. So you know what? Being able to talk people down is a good skill. And if our teachers would educate people more on de-escalation and observation, I would say that self-defense is 90% observation.
Yeah.
If you had your shit together and looking around, you would stop most of your problems.
Yep.
Now you take another 5% for altercations. Of that 5%, you could de-escalate most of that. So that leaves us with 5%, and that's the 5% where shit goes sideways. And that 5% is the reason why you should be training every day. You should be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, brutally, all the Lees in tune for that 5%. Now, you know, we could argue what the numbers are. I'm pulling numbers out of my ass. So whoever's listening to this and ready to fucking message me and jump on me that, you know, it should be something else. Save your breath.
Or just tell those guys to get some fucking pussy and not take things so seriously.
Well, yeah. Just remember, numbers are arbitrary. However, I understand, having owned a few martial arts schools in my lifetime, we are in a business, and the business only works if we feed the machine of perpetrating fear, letting people know that this technique is the end-all be-all answer to all your problems, or this weapon will work, or whatever. I understand. I get it, man. And that's why I'm not so, Mark, that's why I'm not so harsh to judge. Is because you have a business to run. I don't have to agree with you, right? You've got a friend who I want to meet. Filipino guy, GN?
Paulo.
Okay? Now, I want to meet that guy. I want to sit down. I want to have some rice. I want to have some food. And I don't want to talk about martial arts at all. I just want to fucking hang out with that dude. All right? The amount of shit that he goes through on social media, I couldn't do it.
I don't.
I couldn't do it. The stuff that he's going through, I'm like, dude.
I tell him, it's tiring, bro. I don't even fucking.
And now there's some people who love that shit. You know,
yeah.
I don't know if he's one, but there's some people who just fucking thrive on it. I'm going to give you a perfect example. So I'm doing these seminars in Dallas next month. So I posted a video of it, and in it, it's from a series that I did, a TV series. And one of the sound bites, not in context, is, hey, man, MMA has rules. We don't. And that's a fact. Listen,
I seen that trailer.
Right. This fucking guy sits there and gets online and capitalizes. MMA has rules, and that's the problem with self-defense people. Seminars, you're not teaching people how to fight. The only way to learn how to fight is to fight on a regular basis. Okay. Now, if I was a different person, that would have been a 4-day fucking threat. Now, I'm thankful that I grew up the last 10 or 15 years on the internet, and I've already gone through that bullshit. So now I'm just like, yep, smiley face, double tap, thumbs, hearts, whatever I got to do, moving on. Arguing on the internet's like sitting there and saying that sex and masturbating is the same thing. Like, I mean, come on, man.
It's a hands-on thing.
It's hands-on, but you know, it's kind of one-sided. So, and I lost my point. So, I regarding the industry of self-defense, if we can get people to be more observant and de-escalate, and then the trick would be as an instructor to find a way where you can still integrate all your cool movements and all your stuff you're teaching, but give your students the real tools they're going to need to live a healthy life. And as a parent, did you tell your kids to look both ways before they cross the street?
And point and make eye contact with the person in the car.
Okay, dude. Now that is the single most important thing. Do you still look both ways before you cross the street?
I look both ways when I cross a one-way street.
There you go. So do I. So obviously that tidbit is life-changing. Well, being aware of our surroundings, getting off of our fucking phones, of which I'm guilty.
We all are to an extent.
Being aware, getting headphones off when you're like, hey man, maybe I shouldn't go down that dark alley with fucking ninjas popping out of there. Maybe that's not a good thing. Emphasizing that first and de-escalation skills second, and leaving our martial skills as a fail-safe for when things go wrong, and just keeping things in perspective. Now, don't ask me to sit there and say this over, because I'm not a rich guy. I go around the world and I tell people this and then I leave. So my business isn't brick and mortar. Even my online sessions people are like, dude, why am I paying you money for this? You're paying me money because you're a fucking retard. And if you knew this, we would be moving on to something else, but you don't know this.
Yeah. No, it's true. You're 100% right until it fucking happens. And speaking of earphones, I never wear earphones anymore unless I have at least my dog and one bud is in, because that did happen to me. I was in college. Oh yes, 100%. It was fucking scary. I had a concussion from it. Ooh. And I was coming home from college. I was going to Casa Loma campus, George Brown, and I got off the subway. When I got off the subway at Islington Station, there's a bank machine outside at the top of the stairs. Mm-hmm. And I went and take out my half of the rent, and I didn't realize I was being watched because I wasn't paying attention.
Right.
First of all. Well, but at the same respect, right? Most people are like, oh, you're going to be paranoid to look. It's not about like thinking someone's going to attack you. It's just looking around and being consciously aware of how many people are around you. Yeah. You know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Am I seeing the same face 3 times? Why am I seeing the same face?
Exactly. And it's not even, and I tell people even further, I'm like, guys, just don't even think one dimensional. Self-defense means I could be at work and I'm just paying attention to the fucking ceiling or the racks.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're defending yourself from any fucking thing, right? Yeah. Be aware of where the hell you are. And that's what happened. I had my earphones on and I'm walking. So when you walk down, there's a bridge. You go under the bridge, there's a stairwell. It comes up to the TTC parking lot. And I crossed the parking lot, and that's the back doors to my building. And as I got to the top of the stairs, I got fucking kicked or pushed, I don't know, right at my back. Yeah. To the point I fell forward and hit my head off a skirt of a car. Oh. And just like my neck just fucking. And then my instinct was to turtle and just kicks and punches. And when they went in my wallet, my pocket, that's when I knew, like, these fuckers knew. They know they watched me. Yeah. And it was just a fight for my money. Some I got back, some got ripped, some they left. It took off. Long story short, never fucking again. And so when I tell people, you know, you should pay attention to these things, and it's like, when do we learn the fucking spinning flying elbow? Yeah. Like I'm telling you, see, like that's why I say, see this scar on my fucking head? Like this is because was stupid and I thought I was fucking cool with my earphones. Yeah. You know, people that could have all been avoided.
But now, and this is. So you have 2 daughters, correct? Is that what you said? 2 daughters.
Yep.
Okay. So they're going to have their heart broken.
Yep.
Nothing you say is going to change that at all. Even if you want to kill the boys, it doesn't matter. They're still going to have their heart broken.
Yep.
Human beings, we unfortunately only learn one way. The really, really important ones are learned through blood. That's it. That's the only way we're going to learn. And so really, as instructors, what are we doing? We're giving them information, and if they like it, great. it's not that I don't care, but you got to fall down. You're going to learn to fucking do something. And the level of severity of the learning is going to be on that individual and how much they listen or don't listen. And that's okay.
I think as responsible instructors, I think there's a few things that we can teach them, really. And that is principles.
Yep.
Strategies, objectives, because those are principalities that can be interjected into many contexts.
Sure.
You know, like for example, self-defense. Okay, what is it you're trying to achieve? Are you trying to get away? Are you trying to not be taken away? Or are you defending a loved one? Like, I'm not going to think about my fucking moves that I'm going to do, but it's going to come down to one of those fucking three things. But if in that second I understand what my objective is, that changes my whole fucking reaction.
You know
what I mean? That's what I think should be focused upon. And also, what I want to segue into right now, and that's this right here, and I fucking love this. What does that say?
Be a nightmare for bad guys.
Tell me about it. Tell me about this.
Well, okay, so it's actually, I wish I could say that I wasn't a deep person, but in this one, I'm not as deep as a puddle on this one. I'm actually like a lake. So originally it was exactly, when I came up with it as a hashtag, it was exactly that. I'm going to learn some techniques, or I'm going to teach you some techniques so that you will become a hard target towards people that mean to do you harm. Okay, at face value. But the more that what it really comes down to is being a nightmare for the bad guys in your head.
Oh, that's deep.
Okay. We all have, you remember Gremlins?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Don't feed them after dark. Don't get them wet. And, cute little Gizmo became fucking Spike, and that little bastard did some damage. Well, we all have those little spikes in us, right? We all have those little bastards in us, and they're usually from past traumas, past things, insecurity, doubt, fears. That's what they feed on. So what it really comes down to, what I actually, when I say that every single time, be a nightmare for bad guys, has nothing to do with the outward people that you deal with. It really has to do with the gremlins and demons and insecurity, negative insurgency that's in your head, and to be able to develop the skill sets and the lessons and abilities to basically be like, fuck you. You're not going to be able to beat me anymore. I am going to find whatever it takes to not only kick you in the balls, bad people in my head, but I'm going to stand over you and teabag you and be like, fuck you. You don't have power over me.
Yeah, that's a skill in itself, man, because I know people from like high school, and they're fucking brilliant people. And, as you get older, you're here, right? You're here, and then you go here, and it's not a big deal. They're still there. And you go here, and they're still there. But like, they're a late bloomer.
Yeah.
And then you're like you're so far, and they're just sitting there, and it's just like, why? And I'm not gonna name names, but I love this person. But it's just like, they're so scared of fucking failure.
Yeah.
That they didn't even want to start, and now it's to a point where it's a habit. He believes his own shit, and that's a very fucking hard thing to beat, man.
And it's hard as somebody you care about, watching them not do anything with their life because of fear of failure. And now, is it fear of failure? Is it fear of failure? Is it fear of success? Is it what exactly it is? It can be a combination. And this is why I am I'm not the fucking Anthony Robbins understanding, I'm not fucking up there on a pedestal. It took me, if we're having complete transparency, I've been lost for the last couple of years. I don't know what I want to do with my life. People are like, well, you're going to teach, you're going to do this stuff. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily it, man. I don't know if I want to teach. I don't know what I want to do. But what I found in this last couple of years with this bullshit is if I don't try something, I am going to get into a rut where I'm just going to be listening to my own bullshit and listening to the bullshit of other people. And it's not that they don't have my best interest at heart. They just look at me with only one set of eyes.
Yeah, there's more to us than just the martial arts or
Right.
this or that.
And that's what's important. And it's important that you and I and other people like us, that we look in the mirror and we're like, you know what? I am not just Krav Maga. I am not just a fitness trainer. I am not like, there's these boxes, man. I fucking don't put me in a box. I fucking hate it because I do not fit in. I'm not a gun guy. I'm not a knife guy. I'm not a this. I'm not that. I'm a fucking guy who kind of sticks his finger in a whole bunch of little things and then, you know, tries to be, okay, I'm pretty good at that. I really like doing that. And I hate fucking that. So I don't even touch that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And when I look at people who are self-imposed prisons, you know, and they're like, no, this is what I'm supposed to be when I grow up. And again, I'm going to put X job because I don't know what the job is that I'm talking about. And I don't want to sling shit on people who are busting their ass every day to put food on the table of their families, doing jobs they fucking hate. However, that job is 8 to 10 hours in a day. You spend time with your family, that's another 3 or 4 hours. If there's something that you really enjoy doing, don't fucking give me that shit you don't have time.
No, you have to make time.
It's just not a priority for you. And that's what I think is important. If you're not happy with one aspect of your life, do what you need to do to deal with that. Okay? But find the one thing that is exciting for you and invest 1 hour a day, 2 hours a week, 4 hours a month, whatever, and do that so that you can try to find some balance. But now that being said, that's even too much for a lot of people. And that's okay, man. You know, I'm not going to support it. Yeah. And I'm going to be honest when I see people are doing it, but that just means that you're not meant to be in their life. Yeah. Because if they wanted to hear it, they would be like, yeah, okay.
The other thing too, you know what, that's brilliant because as hard as it is, and it is hard. Yeah. Some people are not meant to stay in your life longer than a season. Nope. Because they are actually, as much as you love that person, the ingredient they have in your life is not a flavor you want. It ruins everything else. Yeah. And you know, that's not to say that you won't meet up with them and link up with them and be something else later on. You know. Yeah. But and then there's the flip side of that. I have a friend of mine named Stuart. He's been my friend since grade 3. He was my best man at my wedding. I talked to him the other day. That is a fucking privilege. Because that person, he's like, and this is important for those people listening, you know, think of somebody in your life that's been in your life the longest. Mm-hmm. That's a fucking pillar. Yeah. That's a root to your tree. Yeah. Because that's the kind of person, Marcus, when I'm going through some shit, because he's known many versions of me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because none of us, if you're the same person your whole life, you're fucking boring. And you're
something's broken, man.
Right?
Something is broken.
You're too scared to fucking try shit. Yeah. Right? You'll always be you, but you're you through a different lens. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And that's the kind of guy. It's important to have people like that in your life. Be like, hey man, this is what's going on in my life. You know, what do you think about this? Because that person knows you. They know you. Yeah. They've seen every aspect of you.
Yeah. Good, bad, and indifferent. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to have those people in your life.
Yeah. I have one. His name's Rupert, and I've known him literally 45 years.
What a blessing.
Matter of fact, I just texted him today because I found out a guy that we were in high school with just bit the dust and had a heart attack. And I was like, hey, man, did you hear about so-and-so? And he's like, no, I didn't know about it. And, you know, that's a good point, you know, and he's the only last one. I mean, it's Eddie, I've known Eddie for, you know, since we were 16. You know what I'm saying? And it's you got a good point there. As you get older, I'll say this for sure, you start being the last man standing, and that can be heartbreaking at times because people die, and that's, you know,
yeah.
Get used to it, man. Get used to it. People are gonna come into your life for a long time, short time. People are gonna die. If you're still standing, you should be fucking enjoying the shit out of life.
I know a guy I train with at Combat. His name is Anthony. He's in his 30s, just passed, just like that. And you know what the fucked up thing is? He posted something on Facebook 8 days before he passed. It was a video of us training, doing a private lesson together, and he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to train with you soon, man. Miss you." Yeah. And I said, yeah, man, I miss you. I can't wait to train with you too. And then boom, he's gone.
Yeah.
I have another friend of mine. Well, really, his brother was one of my best friends, but I knew him, and we were friends for a brief time. But overdosed in a hotel in BC, and it's just like fuck, it's hard because you got to think, man. We were all kids in the same school,
Yeah.
and just by circumstance and what life fucking threw at us, we had to deal with. We all had to deal with shit, but and some don't make it, and some do, and
No.
it's like when those moments happen, first thing I do is I say, God rest, God, my respects, God bless them, their family. The second thing I do is I reflect on how lucky I fucking am.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I do is I need to live for them.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. A name spoken ensures that they're never forgotten.
Yes. Yes, I've heard that.
And they say, you die twice. Once when you actually leave this earth, and then when people stop talking about you.
When the last person who knew you says your name.
Yeah.
Stop saying
and
it.
I'm a big believer in that, man. Huge. There's something that everyone seems to forget. And I'm not going to get too deep on this because it's a killjoy. Is when you're born, death walks slowly behind you, smiling, because it knows at some point in time, my finger will touch you and you'll be dead. Now, whether that's 1 day, 1 week, 10 years, 100 years, whatever, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, death is walking behind you, smiling just like this, waiting. So if there's anything anybody listens to this, regardless of whether you're 60 or 30 or 20 or fucking 10, I hope you're not 10. At the end of the day, if you've got 7 days in a week and you get all 7, make a couple of them really, really fucking important. Not every day is going to be, I get up and I go conquer the world. That's just not realistic, man. It ain't going to happen. But if you can have more days where you showed appreciation to the people you love, showed appreciation to yourself, and did something that was actually fucking an ass-kicking day for you in whatever medium that is, that's living. Not every day is going to be a fucking 4th of July type thing or 1st of July. But if you have, 3 or 4 days a week where you're like, yeah, man, I did pretty good. That's living, man. And do as much of that as possible, because when you're dead, it's all fucking over with.
And that's something I took away from martial arts. Some rounds you're going to be,
yeah.
No, seriously. And Joey has a line that I love. He's like, some days you're the dog, some days you're the hydrant.
Yeah.
But you know what? In those moments of tough, in those difficult times, that's where you actually fucking grow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I think people just, not to say that I want to endure shit all the time, because it does get tiring.
Of course.
There has to be a balance.
Yep.
But, when everything's going too well.
Oh yeah. When's the sucker punch happen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like and because when you're only aware of this, right?
Yeah.
When you're only aware of this, and then something happens and forces you to break through that, you are now consciously aware of this.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You can no longer fit in that smaller circle.
Nope, it's fucking true.
So now it's like, oh shit, what else is there?
Yep.
Until that threshold gets broken again. Yep. And it seems to be like people are they want to just secure and hunker down and keep that circle.
Well, it's safe.
Yes. That is the most dangerous thing.
Safety is the most ridiculous word in English language. There is no safety. There's no security.
No.
You have no security on this planet. You know how many people, it's you and I can be walking down the street and I look both ways, you don't look both ways, and I get hit by a car.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? You live in fear and a safe bubble and you never leave your fucking house, or you go out and you live every day to the best you can, and that way when you bite the dust, you won't have any fucking regrets. That is the biggest thing, that if you've ever been on the deathbed of people, almost every person that I've been around that's about to die or has died soon after has sat there and had nothing but regrets. I should have, could have, didn't. I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have done this. And I'll tell you right now, I am doing my best at this late in life. I already have my share of regrets. I just don't want to make any more. And that is something that we can all have control over. We all have control over it. I have a camel on my toe, tattooed on my toe. Okay, so I have a camel toe, and it's very funny.
Nice.
And
Nice.
it's a great conversation piece. But it was, and very quickly, there was a guy, his name's Mike Martin, old SEAL from the Vietnam era, had tattoos all over the place. When he died, he was fucking well known to everybody. I mean, fucking hundreds of thousands of people. We had talked online. He was an old crusty old bastard. I was like, you know what? I want to come by. I want to get a tattoo. He's like, yeah, come by. He's in San Diego, California, at least. And I put it off, and then he fucking dies in his chair. Peaceful death. And it pissed me off because I wanted to get some ink. So I flew down to California to his shop, a lovely lady named Laura. I said, I saw that he has a camel on his toe, and he was the type of guy. I mean, this guy's a fucking badass, okay? I mean, a real fucking badass. Soul taker, okay? He would wear pink all the time just because he was like, fuck you guys. I can wear pink. I got tattoos all over the place. I got this big fucking mustache out here. What are you going to do about it? Like a man's man. And he had this camel on his toe, and I said to her, Laura, I want this camel on toe. She pulls out this, you've had ink on you, right?
Yeah, I got some.
My bad. Sorry, I've had a brain fart. So you know how they use stencil shit, right? Yeah. She pulls out this stencil. She goes, here's the one that was on his toe. I said, yep. She goes, yep.
Yep.
I have the exact same stencil that he had. Now, why do I get it? Yeah, it's funny. But what it does, every time I look at it, I am not having one more regret of not telling somebody I love them, not going to do the thing that I thought I should do, because I never know when you're going to die. Now, I've got it today. I had a guy seriously say to me today, Marcus, you need to stop with that shit. I said, what do you mean? He said, all the time, you're fucking telling me, hey, how are you? Or, hey, I love you. It gets tiring. I'm like, no problem, buddy. I get it. I said, but when I'm fucking dead and buried, it happens fucking tomorrow, what's going to go through your head? He's like, oh, yeah. I'm an asshole. I said, yeah, you're an asshole, but you're young. You think fucking it's okay. You have all the time in the world. I am not that young. I have an appreciation. So when I see my boy Mark, I need to let Mark know, hey, Mark, I fucking love you, you Portuguese bastard. I fucking love you. And you know what? Because when I am dead and buried, I want you to have memories of me, and I want you to toast, and I want you to have a drink for me, and I want you to remember me in a good way. 100%. And if there's something that anybody gets from this fucking long-winded talk between the two sexy bastards that are on it, is that don't have regrets.
No, I'll try not to.
It's too fucking short.
100%, man. 100%. And you know what? It's like, I look at my kids, Marcus, and I'm like, man, what are they going to think about me when they're older? What is their perception of me? What am I doing right now to show them who they are, what they should look for? And believe me, I'm not without fault, and there's things I can do better. Yeah. But I think in the grand scheme of things, my kids know I love them, and I work hard, and I spend time with them, and I talk to them. Yeah. Like if you ask my kids, you know what they're going to remember? They're going to remember when Dad was every day at the bus stop, or every time they go to bed. I always do this. I always, at the bus stop, every time they go to school, I say, hey, what's the 3 most important things you need for other people? Respect, attention, and compassion. What's the 3 most important things you need for yourself? Self-love, self-confidence, self-respect. Good girl. Get on the bus. Every time before they go to bed, I do my little bed bug song and dance with them. Yeah. And then I just tell them, I said, you know what? You're funny. You're beautiful. You're smart. You're this. You're that. And most importantly, and they always answer, I'm yours.
Yeah.
I say, yes, you are. That's the shit they're going to remember.
Yep.
And that's all. That's it. That's all I can do. And you know what? I just hope one day when I'm gone and my kids are at my funeral, nobody's going to give a fuck how much I had in the bank.
No.
What kind of car I drove.
No.
But what I want my kids to experience is people coming up and saying, hey, you know what? Your dad was an honest guy. Yeah. Or your dad was a good man. Or your dad was this. Or your dad was that. Yeah. That's money. That's currency. Yeah. That shit lives forever. That's what I'm investing in, man.
Good. And I think you're on the right path. I think you're on a great path. And I think that's a fantastic message for everybody that's listening. You have control over that. You can do your own version of that. Make sure the people that you love know that you love them. That's the main reason to not have regrets in your life. Did they know? Yep, they knew. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Fuck yeah, you're ahead of the game.
Now, that being said, I'm going to touch on a topic that a lot of people aren't going to like. I don't really give a fuck. They can shut it off right now because we're about a minute 24 in, so there's enough good stuff for them to leave. But I love this fucking shit, and I'm going to post it right now. Where is it? Hunt your local pedophiles. We're talking about kids, but listen, this hits home for me, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna give you a story, okay? Yeah. And this is a story. If anybody thinks this is fucking bullshit, if my sister Isabel is watching this, you go ahead and tell it. I lived in Toronto, and when I was a young kid, I lived on Lappin Street, which is off the top. And Sunday is Portuguese clean your house day.
Yep.
All right, so I had my sister upstairs, my mom in the basement, and somebody else on the main floor. Right, I'm a little kid. I'm watching TV, and I'm watching TV. Doors are locked. Right, some fucking guy, and to this day, I have a very, very foggy image of him. Mm-hmm. I was about 6 or 7, but it was traumatizing, which is why I kind of remember. But this guy came to the window and coaxed me over and asked me to open the door, and I opened the door, and luckily my sisters put the chain on. And when I opened the door, this guy grabbed my arm. And he was trying to open the door, and the door couldn't open. He coaxed me to, hey, go get a chair and take this chain off.
Wow.
And I'm a fucking stupid kid. I'm a little kid. I don't know anything. This guy's telling me he's gonna give me this, that, whatever. And luckily my sister came up the stairs and fucking scared this guy away. And I would have been gone. My sister Isabel, she saved my life more than once.
Yeah.
So I think about that story, and that's like my worst fear. And I'm watching shit nowadays, and it's just like the sexualization of young kids or this normalization of certain things. It's just it's fucking scary. It is fucking scary. So talk to me about this hunt your local pedophile, because it's fucking brilliant.
Well, so the nucleus of it is because I was molested by two different men in my lifetime. One of them was a martial arts instructor, ironically.
Wow.
So dealing with that, and anybody who's been in any type of trauma, regardless, it just doesn't matter. Like whether you're molested, raped, like it doesn't matter. You're in the same swimming pool, and I don't give a shit what anybody says. Now, it took me a lot of years to come to terms with a lot of stuff. You push it down and do all that kind of stuff. And about 2 years ago, I don't even know where it came up from, but just, I know where it came from. Just as you said, the way that our society is going when it comes to the term of pedophilia and the normalization of it, and how sex trafficking is just like
rampant.
It's like nothing.
It's $1 billion industry.
And so this image came up, the one that's on the shirts that I have. I don't have one around me. And it just says, hunt your local pedophile. And orange with like a stop sign, except not octagon. And it's kind of been one of those things where it splits the road. There's people who support it. There's people who support it that can't support it publicly. For whatever reasons, and then there's people that don't support it. And the beautiful part about Hunt Your Local Pedophile is it shows me one way or the other where you stand. And if you come to me and you say, Marcus, I believe that pedophilia is a sexual orientation,
that's fucked up.
I'm going to say, okay, I disagree wholeheartedly, and I've seen you for who you are, and I don't wish to be in your company anymore. Yeah. And I don't give a shit if you're a man, a woman. I don't care what you identify as. At the end of the day, the one thing that we will always agree on. Now, I want you to listen to this for a second. You can argue politics. You can argue race. You can argue religion. You can argue all of that stuff. Where you will find one polarization of togetherness or opposition is on the subject of pedophilia. You can have people who hate each other on a whole bunch of different aspects and then say to each other, yeah, but should a pedophile be wrapped around a tree with barbed wire and set on fire? Yes. You can have people who hate each other for racial, like you can say black people and white people and Asians, and you all everybody hates each other. But by the way, there's a child that's about to be molested down the street. Whoop, all come together and take care of business. It is the one subject where people will agree, or they will be pro pedophilia in whatever way that takes shape. And that is where that's how I know I'm on the right path. I don't give a shit what you think about in anything that you do. If you're profiting, enjoying, subscribing to the hurting of children in a sexual manner or just in violence, you're a piece of shit. Or as a Canadian culture, which is only to us, you're a goof. You are the biggest goof on the planet.
Yeah.
And I have no apologies for that. Everything else that I say about in my lifetime, I take, you love me, you hate me. I'm like fucking, I'm kind of like an acquired taste.
That's what
when it comes to the subject, I have no gray matter. It's black or white. That's it. Done.
So that being said, that's why I think it's so important for some children to receive some kind of training in self-defense, or even just fucking talk to your kids and be like, listen.
I think that that's more important, because when a child gets molested, no self-defense is going to help them.
No.
Let's be really honest here. You can teach them all the moves you want.
No, but like,
if a man wants to molest you, it's probably somebody you know.
But like we spoke earlier, self-defense starts prior to the actual physical movement.
Well, exactly. Yes, and so you're educating them on what doesn't feel right. However, when it's your uncle, your aunt, your cousin,
yep,
right,
yep,
like that's where. So I donate a lot of time and energy towards certain groups that deal with sex trafficking, and I'm all for it, and it's great. But what I really want to train people on and help people with is impossible to do. Right now, as you and I have been talking for now hour and 31 minutes, I'm going to lowball it at 100 kids have been molested, raped in the time that we've talked. Never going to hear about it. And we can't do anything about it. We can't kick in a door. We can't do anything because it's a family member, or they'll never tell. So when they do come to your school as a student, for whatever reasons, be mindful of it. Be open to sit there. And here's the difference. If you haven't been molested or raped, it's very difficult for you to know. And that's not a slight. I mean, fuck, it's just not. But people who've been hurt know other people that have been hurt. Just like I can smell other apex predators. I know who it is. And it's usually not the guy who's fucking beating his chest. I can smell the guy who's going to slit your throat. When you have a student there and they're sitting there and they're hurting or they're whatever, the real teaching, the real self-defense comes from empowering them and letting them know it's not their fault.
100%.
Right? You as a father, what you need, and I'm going to say, instead of, and this isn't you, but fathers or parents in general are like, I'm going to kill that guy or whatever. Man, don't let your kids be afraid of you. You need them to be able to come up to you and say, hey, dad, mom, uncle, whatever, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And have the complexity and the conscious ability. You're absolutely right. Let's share it, blah, 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 and then go about things the right way. Even though I say hunt your local pedophile, it has nothing to do with kicking in a door and killing somebody. I want to make sure it's clear. That shirt is so that all the pedophiles, as I walk down the street, and the men and women who rape children, I want them to be uncomfortable. I want them to fucking sit there and be like, God damn, oh shit, that's not good. I want them to walk down the street and see other people like, yeah, fuck those pedophiles, because it's wrong. And I can't set you on fire because it's legally not allowed. But if it was, I would.
I'd give you the match.
Yep. And so my point of that is I agree that self-defense comes from like internal. But the best place you can have as a school is to have a safe environment. And this goes, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into this because it opens a whole bunch of doors, but not just being sexually abused, but there's kids, as you know, that come from broken homes. And they got an old man, an old woman, or an old man, a parent who's beating the shit out of them. And that 1 hour that they come a week or a day is the only fucking peace of mind that they get. And that's where, as instructors, we may not be able to fix that situation. The only thing we can do is, the time that we have them, empower, educate, the things that we're talking about. It has nothing to do with the awareness of the schoolyard bullies. It's how do you sit there and survive the beatings you're going to take at home.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You can't do nothing about it.
No, but that's the thing. No matter, in the darkest place, a small flame will give you enough light.
And that's usually what we do. We give them just a little bit of light to survive and somehow find the ability to thrive. Because when you talk to people who have survived horrific events, even though they want to kill themselves, or if they go through dark areas, at the end of the day, the best way to help somebody who's hurting is to be vulnerable, whatever the fucking word is, and show them that you've made it this far.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that goes back to what we talked about before. As leaders, it's not about just looking tough and smoking mirrors.
No.
Letting somebody know that you suffer and yet you still thrive, that is real strength. That's real
strength. Yeah. And there's where the little bit of hope comes in. They say hope is not a course of action. I've had this discussion with a bunch of people, and I agree. Hope isn't the end-all be-all. But if you live a hopeless life, you are not living life to the fullest. You need to have hope. You need to have hope.
You know what, Marcus? You see this black label? I thought that's how much his booze was left.
Oh, shit. Oh.
Yeah. That's one of those. But listen, you're right. And you know what? That's the thing I pray for. I pray for that, whatever impact I have on somebody, it's just that I'm just a human being. I'm going through life the way you are. I'm suffering with you. I might be teaching you something, but we as instructors, we learn just as much from our fucking students.
Hell yeah, agreed.
Agreed. And that has to, and that's that kind of relationship is what gets us by hard times. It's what gets us by abuse. It's what gets us by isolation, depression, all of that.
Yep.
And I think that that's something that needs to be celebrated and rewarded more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, that's what I like this, for example, this podcast. That's why I'll talk about it, because I'm talking about it, but I'm talking about it with many people.
Yeah.
And because I want people to see the commonality. I want people to see it's not just a one-off.
No.
Every fucking buddy is going through something, you know what I mean? And we don't have to carry it alone.
No.
Community is what we need. And when they have this like social distancing and fucking don't go visit this person and wear a fucking mask and if you walk backward after 8 o'clock, you won't catch COVID, all this shit.
Yeah.
Like we need interaction.
Yes.
We need to talk to people. This is how we survive, not the opposite.
I agree 1,000%, brother. Preaching to the choir. I'm right there with you.
100%. So that being said, I'm going to ask a couple more, but we'll go, if we want to go, if you want to end it soon, we'll end it soon.
No, but say, man, bring it.
How does a person who has been through a severe psychological traumatization, how does it affect the way they receive information or their ability to defend themselves?
Well, from experience and from what I've seen, most people they put up some big walls, man, big fucking walls. And they're usually very difficult to get close to. So learning self-defense from a self-defense perspective is easy because you just sit there and you bring up information and they immediately personalize it as to how they could have applied it to their own situation. Now, where the healing starts is to understand that whether you fought or didn't fight is irrelevant. Even though I teach women, or I teach people, but mostly women, that if you're in a rape situation, fight as if they're going to kill you. Now, if there's a woman that comes to me and says, well, I didn't do that. Am I a failure? Fuck no. Nope. Nope. So instead of what you didn't do, let's talk about what you can do. And that sums up my teaching in a whole. I don't give a shit what you can't do. I give a shit about what you can do. And let's do what you can do and build from there. And if you have trauma in your life because you survived a very horrific situation, I'm not saying forget about it. I'm saying, okay, put it on a fucking shelf because we're in the now and we're going to surf back and forth between your past and your present, past and present. And eventually the goal is to not have as much past and here's your present, but to find a little bit where you're living more in the now, less in the past, and understanding that I want you to have empathy for the person you were when that event happened, because I'll tell you right now, what you know now, you didn't know back then. And it's impossible to sit there and punish that person for what you didn't know back then. Have some empathy for who you were.
That's powerful.
That honestly has probably kept me from fucking sucking on a bullet more than anything in the last, 6, 7, 8 years.
And the same thing, if you wronged somebody, forgive yourself. You weren't that person.
And that's where that one I'm working on. I'm not saying I have the best history with that, but you're absolutely right. It works across the board. Forgiving yourself for who you were back when you did something that you're very ashamed of is easier said than done. But I think that we both would agree that to be able to look at the human being you are in the mirror and be empathetic to saying, hey, man, here's how I got to fix it.
Like you said, the thing is, right, like I know there's things in my life I did when I was younger that I'm not proud of, and I hate myself for it. But it's also because I was taught those things, or I learned the wrong way. And but the thing is now, and like you say, it took me a long time. And that's part of the reason why I was so quiet for so long. I used to have I didn't have an outlet, right? So I was a very I had a lot of pent up aggression and anxiety. But you know what? The desire to be better is a very powerful thing.
Agreed.
And on the flip side, the desire to not be a victim is a very powerful thing. And it's just about choice.
It is about a choice. And that's the hardest part for most people that's a big pill to swallow, right? And the fact that just because you did or didn't do something before, whatever it is, regardless of which end of your spectrum are, you can be a victim or not a victim by allowing the power of that past situation to own who you are. And that's where, some of us who have done some stupid things that we regret, the fact that we hold on to that makes us a victim. It's over. It's done with. Now, I'm saying it doesn't mean that I'm 100% believing it, just so we're clear. Okay, I'm a little bit hypocritical here. But I do know that if we don't allow it and cut the shackles of that bullshit, a lot of problems will dissipate as a result. Yeah. The hardest part is making the decision. And that's where a community comes in, because you can't do it alone.
No. And I think the other thing too is you have to set a realistic blueprint or a realistic understanding of, this is a process.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's not something like, oh, I fucking, I don't want to feel like this anymore, and I plug in the matrix and upload that file and it's there. This is fucking years of breaking habits, thought processes. This is not something that comes easily, right? No. You have to stick through it. You have to be determined. You have to be resilient. And if you really want that fucking thing, it will come. But it'll come after you put work in.
Of course. It's the same as when you look at people who are obese or people who are very, very, very heavy. It didn't take you 6 weeks to get to that level. So sure as fuck isn't going to take you 6 weeks to get rid of it. And if it was your lifestyle to get into that being that heavy, it's going to be your lifestyle to get rid of that. And that goes, and again, that swims in a whole bunch of different oceans. It didn't take you, if you did a bad thing 30 years ago, it's not going to take you fucking 3 days to get over it. That's just how human beings are wired. And that realization right there is the first step. Once you can have this realization of the words that you just said, that's when the healing starts. And
How-
it's a roller coaster.
How important is self-talk to you? How often do you talk to yourself?
And in the negative, I have to check it on a regular basis.
And
I have to check it on a regular basis of where I'm having a conversation and why am I saying that, and just make a loud thing, stop that shit, and redo it. I have a lot of self-talk, and a lot of it's negative.
you should check out Kevin Seaman's. It's called Mindcast. It's all about how to speak to yourself, the dialogue, how to train and hack into your mind's thought process, the way it actually thinks, the way you speak to yourself. It's actually pretty powerful, man. I'll send you his link.
Okay, yeah, do that.
Yeah, I'll send you his link because I tell you something, man. I was working a job. I'm still at this job, but I just didn't like. I took the job because I wanted to be closer to home. I didn't want to drive an hour and a half. I was a crane operator. I made decent money, but I had no time to see my kids, no time to see my family, and honestly, I didn't think I deserved more. Right, so. But listening to these fucking these mindcasts, he calls them, it's actually quite powerful, right? And you learn some powerful techniques. And meditation is good, but having that daily conversation with yourself, it's like you have to be your own corner man.
Yes, your own cheerleader.
Yep. You have to be. You have to be your own cheerleader. You have to be your own lawyer. And you have to be your own defender.
Yep.
Because you cannot fucking wait for somebody else to do it for you. If you
you cannot.
If you can't do it for yourself, who the fuck else is going to do it for you?
Agreed. 1,000,000%.
And so when you find yourself checking yourself with this negative conversation, what is this dialogue you're giving yourself, and where do you think it comes from?
Well, that self-abusive talk comes from your upbringing. When you're told that you're a fucking idiot and that you should never have been born, and all the stuff that's said to you as a young child, no matter what, that becomes an electrical pathway to how you think. And when you're tired or when you're having a bad day, that negative pathway, when it's blocked, everything's great. That's awesome when it's blocked. But when you're having a bad day, those gates open up and it just fucking flows. So having the time to say, whoa, stop, fuck that bullshit, and do the opposite and say the opposite to try to reroute that electricity. And it takes time. And it's been going on for as long as I've been alive. So I would say it's on bad days. And during, the last couple of years, or last year for sure, there's more bad days than good days when you take in information outside of your circle.
Here's a question I ask myself when I try to check myself. I ask myself this, and I'm telling you what I do, but I want to hear if you're cool with it. I want to hear what you would say.
Okay.
When I'm feeling a little bit shit about myself, I always think and say, "Hey, what would 8-year-old Mark think about 4-year-old Mark today?"
Yeah.
And what would 40-year-old Mark say to 8-year-old Mark?
Yeah. That's a tough one. That is a tough one because of the fact that I was told once you should write a letter to your 10-year-old self, telling your 10-year-old self what not to do or to alter it. And I haven't been able to write it. I get to about the first 2 sentences and I just can't do it. And that's something that maybe I should try to invest in more time in, because when you are having those negative talks, it's usually that 10-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 10, whatever that age is, that is actually doing the thinking for you.
Wow.
I think it's very powerful to sit there and say to 10-year-old Marcus or Mark or whoever, and saying, "Hey, you're going to get through this, and you're not an idiot. You're not a stupid head or a dumbcoff or whatever the words are. You're not that guy, man. And remember that when your mom called you that, she didn't get a fucking book to teach how. She's just doing the same shit that her mom did. And you know who her mom was. And she was a fucking idiot too. So, and that's the problem with parenting, or how we talk to ourselves, is because we learned it from someone else. And to stop that is easier said than done. But I like that idea. And I think that it's important that whoever's listening tries it and says because it'll be easier for some people than others. Have that conversation with that person. Say, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna break the cycle today. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna do this."
I think in some degree, I've broken many cycles with my children.
Good.
I'm very much involved. I tell them I love them all every day. I play with them. I draw with them. You know, you know, I just have fun with them. You know,
Good.
because it's like fuck. I'm even lucky they're mine.
Yep.
You know, I never thought in a million years I was going to be married.
Yeah.
I never thought I was going to have kids, let alone girls. And it's just like, here it is. There's no fucking manual.
Yeah.
It's just, but you know what? It's just, I look at them and I say, okay, you know, they were given to me from God.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to do if anything in this world, I'm just going to do right by them. That's the most I can, that's the most.
That's the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you can do. Good job. I like that.
100%, man. So I'm going to wrap it up. How can these people get a hold of you? How can these people get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
There's 2 Facebook pages, but I prefer the one that's whatever, not the personal page, but the whatever. I fucking hate using the word, but the fan page or the business pages. That I'm on Instagram a lot. If you have information about shirts or courses I'm doing or just what the hell I'm about, just my website, marcustorgerson.com is the just one word, marcustorgerson.com.
All right, man. Well, before we leave, Marcus, I just want to say thank you so much for all the hard work that you do. I want to thank you for having the balls to fucking put a positive message out there, say what needs to be said, do it with finesse, do it with a little bit of grit, and just having the courage to be yourself. And you've impacted a lot of people, including myself. I feel like I know you. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like I know you from another time, and I appreciate your friendship. And I look forward to seeing you again, man.
Well, you know how I feel about you, and if you don't, then I better fucking work harder, I guess.
All right, guys.
I think you're a good man. Thank you for having me on. It means a lot to me.
You're a good man. I appreciate your friendship. Thanks, guys.